how good our class is. Time of fellowship, spending time with one another, studying. Hopefully they'll want to be here. And still, even though that little thing is running over there, if anybody has a question or comment or whatever, don't let that keep you from asking or whatever. Continue with your questions and comments. Last week,
That's it.
remember last week we talked about hard times. You know, things were pretty bad, tough, hard times. Well, I still thinking about that, and instead of hard times, just Bible days in general, what it was like to live back then. You know, it was a time of, you had to be tough. I mean, it was nothing was easy. If you wanted to build a kingdom like David, it wasn't just handed to you. Even though that was God's plan, God gave it to him, made him king, did all that. David had to do some stuff too, you know. And it was a tough time. Just think about being in war back then. I mean, there was no guns. You didn't get 400 or 500 yards away. It was actual hand to hand combat. You were in a literal fight for your life. And if you were to beat this guy in front of you, you had to turn around and do it again. Mm-hmm. You had, I mean, as long as there was an enemy there, you were in a fight for your life. And even though you might be getting a better hand to somebody, one of the other army could get you from the back.
Yeah.
I mean, it was tough. It was brutal. It was tough. And it was a culture that is hard for me to comprehend, but it was a culture that's just how it was back then. It was brutal. It was a lot of harsh things had to be done to get to the good, you know? And so I'm going to start, of course, I already gave you a clue. I'm going to talk a little bit about David and some of his stuff here. 2 Samuel 8:1 says, and after this, it came to pass that David smote the Philistines and subdued them, and David took, let me see how to say this, Metheg Ammah out of the hand of the Philistines. All right, if you look in 1 Chronicles 1:18, that tells us that's a town, and it's really what we would call Gath. And we know Gath is like known for being the hometown of Goliath, and it was the strongest city in Philistia, or however you say that. It was a strong point, a strategic point for battle and everything. It was a big victory, and that means that Metheg Ammah means bridal mother, which means it's the controlling city of Philistia. So David won that battle. We know the Philistines were a big enemy of Israel, and he won that battle. That's all in the first verse. But verse 2 is where I want to talk about more. It says, and he smote Moab and measured them with a line, casting them to the ground, even with 2 lines measured he to put to death, and with 1 full line to keep alive. And so the Moabites became David's servants and brought gifts. You know, when we read this, it's easy just to read right over that. But when we talk about it, let me tell you what that means. Okay? And first thing, let's talk about Moab. Do you remember who Moab was? Moab, if you go back to Genesis 19, verses 37 and 38, Moab is one of the sons that Lot had with his daughters. He had Moab and Ammoni, and remember those two. You might want to remember those two. Some of your worst battles are with your kinfolks. Right? Moabites were the kinfolks of Israel. Remember Ruth? She was a Moabite. Eventually in the line of Jesus. So all this comes together. And this is who David was fighting at the time. Moab. He smoked Moab and measured them with a line. Alright? Casting them to the ground, even with 2 lines, measured he to put to death, and with 1 full line to keep alive. When he defeated this army, they made them lay down on the ground, and he took a string and took this length. It's just like, I used to be when I was a teenager, I worked for a land surveyor, and we didn't use, he called it a chain, but it was kind of like a steel tape measure. But in the old days, that's how they measured. He told us all about it, how they used to do it. He had one, and we used it a time or two, but we always used his modern, up-to-date transit, you know. And that's what they're kind of going by here, just like you're measuring out land. Like if they were selling land or something, and they wanted to be, you know, instead of saying, my granddaddy said it was that tree over there, you could say, no, I got 3 lengths of this line. This line is a certain length, and that's how far my land goes. Well, that's what David had. He had a line just like what they used to measure land with, and he made these guys lay down on the ground. He made them all. Put yourself in Moab's army's position. You've lost the battle. Now you got to lay down on the ground, and these guys are physically pulling a line, and they say, all right, kill all them. Wow. And more of David's guys walk down through there. Choop, 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 choop. Measure it. All right, measure again. Hold it again. All right, get all of them. Choop, 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 choop. Fold it again. All right, these are okay. We're going to keep these. Skip them. Measure again. Oh. You gotta be tough, man.
Yeah.
You gotta be. That's brutal. Yeah. That is brutal. All right. So that sends several messages. It's a controlled killing. They're treating them, it's pretty much just like they were killing cattle or animals, farm animals or something, you know. They were just like, all right, you know, let's get these, all these, we'll kill, and we'll keep them for later. I mean, that's basically what it was. There was no emotion, right? I mean, when they pulled that line, they said, all right, kill them. Okay. Go down through there and killing them. No emotion. It was deliberate. It sent a message. I mean, it wasn't done in rage. It wasn't out of control. It was just and it was measured on purpose. They wanted to save a third of them. Remember, did you catch the last thing I said? And listen to this. Listen to this, the end of that verse. It says, he married them with a line, beat to death, 1 full line he kept alive. And so the Moabites became David's servants and brought him gifts. How would you like that? He just killed 2/3 of your army. Let's go give him some gifts. Yeah. So, and he said, yeah, another message he sent was, your fate is in my hands. He could have killed them all, but he didn't. He kept them alive. He kept them alive for says he left a workforce. You know, if you had the whole city of Moab, or the whole country of Moab there, with no men in it, nobody to work the fields, nobody to do this, it would get out of control. So he left a third of them there to continue working as servants, as slaves, and to pay tribute, to pay taxes, to get him some extra money. It kept him in small enough number. He didn't have to worry about a revolt. He didn't have to worry about him rising up, wanting to fight again. It says that was a standard practice in that period. Assyria, Egypt, Babylon, all of them, all them countries. That was a common thing to do. They did that regularly. So now that's in verse 1 and verse 2. Verse 3 says, David smote also Hadazer, I don't know how you say that, the son of Rehob, king of Zobath, as he went to recover his border at the river Euphrates. David took from him, listen to this, David took from him 1,000 chariots, 700 horsemen, 20,000 footmen, and David howled all the chariot horses, but reserved of them for 100 chariots. Let me stop right there. He had 1,000 chariots, and he howled or hoed or whatever, however you say that. What that means is to the horses. He means to disable the horses by cutting the tendon in the legs, usually the hamstring. The horses were not necessarily killed immediately. They were permanently crippled for war. This sounds harsh to modern ears, but in ancient warfare, it meant the horses could no longer pull war chariots. No. The enemy's military machine was permanently broken. Wow. And while I'm on that, did you know Israel's kings were forbidden from getting a big army of horses? That was news to me. Deuteronomy 17:16 says, But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he should multiply horses. For as much as the Lord hath said unto you, you shall henceforth return no more that way. God specifically told Israel's kings not to multiply horses, because he didn't want Israel becoming like the military empires around them. He didn't want them depending on 1,000 chariots. Yeah. He wanted them depending on himself, on God. Even Psalms 20:7, David said, Some trust in chariots, some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord, our God. David understood it. Yeah. He got it. If he would have kept those 1,000 horses, people would have said, the only reason David wins like he does because he's got that big army of chariots. That's the only reason. Mm-hmm. No. Or there's also the danger whoever you're fighting could steal them from you, and then they'd have them. Then they would have 1,000 to use against you, and it crippled them. That took their military away. So they were permanently broken, and he kept 1/10 for himself. He kept just a small amount. That shows restraint. He was not building a huge military empire. So then it says, and when the Syrians of Damascus came to secure Hadaezer, that means they come to help him out. They said, if Israel defeats him, that's going to give them access to us more easily. We better go help him defeat Israel. Well, guess what? When the Syrians of Damascus came to secure that, David slew of the Syrians 220,000 men. David beat them too, killed them. 22,000 of their army. And David took the shields of gold that were on the servants of Hadaezer and brought them to Jerusalem, and from Betah and from Berothai, cities of Hadaezer, King David took exceeding much brass. All right. Let me go a little bit more here. When Toi, king of Hamath, heard that David had smitten all the host of Hadaezer, then Toi sent Joram his son unto King David to salute him and bless him, because he had fought against Hadaezer and smitten him. For Hadaezer had wars with Toi, and Joram brought with him vessels of silver and vessels of gold and vessels of brass, which also King David dedicated unto the Lord with the silver and the gold he had dedicated of all nations when he subdued them. All right, so now David is starting to get some fame. He's starting to get bigger. He's starting to expand. He's not just king over Israel. He's starting to get bigger and bigger, and empire's building. But remember what I said? Building an empire ain't easy. It's brutal. It is brutal. Then it says, let's see. Then it says, and David, it says, let me go back to verse 12, of Syria and Moab and of the children of Ammon and of the Philistines and Amalekite and the spoil of Hadaezer, the son of Rehob, king of Zobah. And David, right here, David gat him a name when he returned from the smiting of the Syrians in the valley of Salt, being 18,000 men. David got a name. If we turn back one page, Samuel 7, 8, and 9. Let's see. Second Samuel 8 and 9.
Bless the Lord.
Now therefore, so shalt David. Now therefore, so shalt thou say unto my servant David, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people Israel. And I was with thee whithersoever thou wouldest, and have cut off thine enemies out of thy sight, and have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. So the prophet just had told David, you're a little old shepherd boy following sheep around, and now I'm going to give you a great name. And that's what it said. When he come back from slaughtering these Syrians in the valley of Salt, David got a great name. His empire is starting to build. And let me tell you a little bit about that valley of Salt, because we say that easy, the valley of Salt. We're like, yeah, whatever. This is what the valley was like: scorching heat, dry desert winds, glaring white salt sand. Have you ever been to the beach on a white, bright, sunny day and forgot your sunglasses? It's blinding out there. All right, now imagine fighting 22,000 men in that.
Wow. Only
it ain't sand, it's salt. Very little water, difficult movement. Battles there would be brutal. Armies could suffer from dehydration, exhaustion, disorientation. Yeah, you get turned around. If it's just you just in a big old white flat desert, you get turned around and get lost. Defeating 18,000 men there was a major military achievement. So David's starting to build his empire. He's starting to become great. And, he was acting like kings back in this day acted. Not saying he was right. Not saying he was wrong. I'm just saying that's how it was. They fought. They were brutal. they did bad things to the enemy, but if the enemy beat you, they did bad things to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it was a tough time to be alive. I mean, it would have been amazing to see and everything, but it would have been a tough time to be alive. Ah, man, I forgot. I skipped one. When I was telling y'all about the horses, don't build a great army of horses. That was one more of King Solomon's downfalls. 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 23 says, "So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and wisdom. All the earth sought Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart. And they brought every man his present, vessels of silver and vessels of gold and garments and armor, spices, horses, mules, a rate by year. And Solomon gathered together chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots, 12,000 horsemen, whom he bestowed in the cities for chariots, and with the king at Jerusalem. And the king made silver to be in Jerusalem as stones, and cedar to be as the sycamore trees that are in the vale for abundance. And Solomon had horses brought out of Egypt, and linen yarn. The king's merchants received the linen yarn at a price." So Solomon had several downfalls. Mm-hmm. Women, money, horses. You know, he was a man. Mm-hmm. It's tough being a man sometimes, you know. Mm-hmm. And but he had Israel on top. You see where silver was worth about as much as a stone in the street.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was as common as stones. Yeah. It was not much. All right, let's look at. I got one more here. Let's go to 2 Samuel and 10. This is where 2 Samuel and 10. All right. Remember, I told you about Lot had two sons, Moab and Amini. His descendant, they eventually started calling him Ammon, which is, today we call that place Ammon, Jordan. It's a modern day place. But that place, back then it was Ammon. The Ammonites, that's who we're talking about, Ammonites. In 2 Samuel 10, it says, "And it came to pass after this, that the king of the children of Ammon died, and Hanun, his son, reigned in his stead. Then said David, I will show kindness unto Hanun, the son of Nahash, as his father showed kindness unto me. And David sent to comfort him by the hand of his servants for his father. And David's servants came into the land of the children of Ammon. And the princes of the children of Ammon said unto Hanun, their lord, Thinkest thou that David doth honor thy father, that he hath sent comforters unto thee? Hath not David rather sent his servants unto thee to search our city, and to spy it out, and to overthrow it? So David sent these servants to make peace, and this guy's council said, oh, don't believe that. He's not come for peace. He's come for war. So this king made a fatal mistake in listening to him. It says, wherefore Hanun took David's servants, shaved off the one half of their beards, and cut off their garments in the middle, even under their buttocks, and sent them away. So he humiliated them, shaved off half their beard, made them run around with their backside hanging out, and embarrassed them, humiliated them. And it was told to David, and David told them, said, y'all just, they left, and they went to Jericho, and David said, y'all just stay in Jericho until your beards have grown out, and then you return. Don't worry about coming back, and everybody seeing you look like that. So, this is great right here. This is the Bible, this ain't me. Verse 6 says, and when the children of Ammon saw that they stank before David, the children of Ammon sent and hired the Syrians of Bethrob and the Syrians of Zobah 20,000 footmen, and the king of Maacah 1,000 men, and of Ishtab 12,000 men. So when David heard of it, he sent Joab, listen to this, and all the host of the mighty men. And you know, when David's mighty men went, that was the end of it. So he went and Joab, that was the captain of David's army. They went and they defeated them. So I just wanted to give you that little background story for when we get to this is the cruel part I want to tell you about. If we flip over to 12, chapter 12, this is I've talked about this before one day. This is right after David and Bathsheba. If we go back to the first, if we go back to chapter 11, I'll read the one verse. It says, and it came to pass after the year was expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle, David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. And we know that verse right there leads to David and Bathsheba. Mm-hmm. That's when David, all the men went off to war. David stayed. He did what he did with Bathsheba. That first son died. He comforted the Bible says he comforted Bathsheba. She had another son, Solomon, and that's where we're picking up. Right after that. Now this whole time, Joab and the army, remember he sent for Uriah the Hittite to come back from the battle. Mm-hmm. This whole time, been going on. David done had 2 kids. Mm-hmm. At least, I'm going to say a 2-year period here that Joab and David's army have been fighting the Ammonites. This whole time. They've still been out in battle while David's still at the palace having babies. So if this is right after Solomon is born. 12 and 26 says, and Joab fought against Rabbah. Rabbah is the main city for the Ammonites. It's their strongest, biggest city of the children of Ammon, and took the royal city. And Joab sent messengers to David and said, I have fought against Rabbah, and I have taken the city of waters. Now therefore gather the rest of the people together and encamp against the city and take it, lest I take the city and it be called after my name. And David gathered all the people together and went to Rabbah and fought against it and took it. And he took their king's crown from off his head. The weight thereof was a talent of gold with the precious stones, and it was set on David's head. And he brought forth the spoil of the city in great abundance. And he brought forth the people that were therein, and put them under saws, and under harrows of iron, and under axes of iron, and made them pass through the brick kiln. And thus did he unto all the cities of the children of Ammon. So David and all the people returned unto Jerusalem. Oh man, there's 3 or 4 messages right there. So I told you, if you remember me talking, Joab and David had kind of a funny relationship. And when I say funny, I mean not good. It wasn't a good relationship. And Joab, that was kind of a little gig to David when he said, come take the city or they're going to name it after me. You know, they're gonna say, because remember when David was, when Saul was still king, and David went out to fight, and they come back, and everybody was saying David killed his 10,000, and Saul killed his thousands. Joab was saying, you know, you want him to say David killed his thousands, and Joab's killed 10,000, or whatever, you know, or if you really remember that message I talked about, Jerusalem wasn't part of Israel when David became king, and Joab is the one that infiltrated the city. Nobody could penetrate the walls of Jerusalem. It was on that hill, and Joab is the one that went through the well and up that tunnel and snuck into the inside and opened the gate and let David and everybody in. So they wouldn't have conquered that city if it hadn't. Israel would not possess Jerusalem, the royal city Jerusalem, if it wasn't for Joab. Joab is the one that done the dirty work and got in there and made it so Israel could get in. And that's what he said, you know, that was kind of, because they called Jerusalem, you know, the city of David. And Joab's like, you wouldn't have it if it wasn't for me. It should really be Joab's city.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, that's one tiny message. But then he took, and they took that, this is that, I told you that talent of gold, that crown that weighed a talent of gold, that's 70 pounds. They took this 70-pound crown and put it on David's head. And that's not even realistic. Nobody can wear a 70-pound crown. That's just for show. But it's an incredible, it's more than that. It's telling David he got forgiveness. God is still with him. Even though he just did all that bad stuff with Bathsheba, he just gave him his second son, Solomon, and now he's conquered his enemies that he's been fighting for 2 years and got their king's 70-pound crown. God has blessed David unrealistically. Just like that crown is unrealistic to have a 70-pound crown, the way God had blessed David was unrealistic. I mean, he had over and abundantly blessed David. And David just had done this sin. I mean, that's about as bad a sin as you can do, right? Murder. Yeah. And so he just had done it, and David got this. And so David has his victory. He has his spoils. He's got his name on the city. And man, I read that last verse just super easy, didn't I? Let's look at it more closely. And he brought forth the people that were therein, and put them under saws, under harrows of iron, and under axes of iron, and made them pass through the brick kiln. Thus he did unto all the cities of the children of Ammon. And David and the people returned to Jerusalem like it wasn't no big deal. Let me give you a little more detail. He put them under saws. That refers to executing people using saws, a method of torture or execution in ancient Eastern warfare. Some scholars suggest it could involve dismemberment or exposure to saws in public. Under harrows of iron. Harrows are farming tools used to break up the soil, often with spikes. Here, it's likely used as instruments of torture or to crush bodies, symbolizing a total devastation. Under axes of irons, execution by axes, commonly understood as beheading or maiming. Made them pass through the brick kiln. You know what a brick kiln is? It's an oven for baking bricks. A form of execution or torture by fire inside the kilns where the bricks were baked, forcing people through hot brick or metal surfaces as extreme punishment, symbolic of purification or total destruction of enemies. Overall meaning, David ensured complete military and psychological destruction of the conquered population. These were standard practices in the ancient Near East to prevent revolt.
Wow.
Man, it was tough back then.
Yeah.
And man, the way we fight war now is kindergarten compared to what they did.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, you suffered back then.
if we did something like that to people today, you would be, the military would have you put in jail
Yeah.
if soldiers done that. You know, or if some dictator got caught doing it to an army he beat, you know, the United States would probably go in and get involved. You know, I mean, that was rough. That was rough. And that's just, I mean, it's just one little verse in the Bible, like it ain't nothing. You know. All right. Last one. I've told you all about David, and or not all. Let me take that back. Definitely not all. That's 2 examples, and it was, believe me, it was hard to narrow down to those 2 examples because there is a lot. All right. I'm gonna go back just a little bit more to show you. This is just to show you how it was, how it was back then. 1 Samuel. Let me give you a little bit here. 1 Samuel 1:15. Samuel, y'all know Samuel was the prophet. He's the one that anointed. First he anointed Saul king, then he anointed David king. Right? That's Samuel. Samuel also said unto Saul, the Lord sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore, hearken unto the voice of the words of the Lord. Listen to what, this is the first thing he told Saul when he was king. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came from Egypt. Now go and smite Amalek, and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. All right. First thing Samuel tells Saul when he's king is, God says, I remember this guy Amalek.
Wow.
That's pretty serious.
Yeah.
He says, I've been waiting on somebody to go get, it's the Amalekites. It's not really a person, it's Amalekites. What they did, he says, I remember what they did to Israel, how they laid wait. Well, what they did was when Israel was coming out of Egypt, these Amalekites were a hostile desert people. They were kinfolks too. Amalek, the original one, was the grandson of Esau. Genesis 36:12. Gotta watch them kinfolks, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
They became one of Israel's earliest and most persistent enemies. If you go back to Exodus 17, when Israel come out, they were going through the wilderness. When they got close to the Amalekites, they didn't confront them. They snuck around to the back of the line where the women, the children, the weaklings, whatever, the elderly, the livestock, all that were, and they started taking them out. The weak, the slow, the elderly, the little ones, the women, they doing them dirty. You know, they didn't go to the men that were up front. They snuck around and did the dirty attack. You know, and God remembered that. And it's all explained in Deuteronomy 25:17. He said he remembered them. Well, it says, and the Lord said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. He said he would blot him out from off the earth. And what did he tell Saul? Kill everything that breathes. Kill the women, the children, the animals. Don't save none of them. Kill them all. Because God told back in Exodus, I'm going to wipe them off the face of the earth. I'm going to blot them out. We all know the story. Saul attacked them, and he found some good stuff, some good animals, and he didn't kill them all.
Yep.
He kept them. So Samuel went. He kept the king. Didn't even kill the king. The king, Agag. Now, his name was Agag. Kept the king. And Samuel went and said, how did it go? And Saul said, oh, we did good. We wiped them out. Wiped them out. And Samuel said, well, what is that bleating? I hear them sheep bleating, not bleeding, bleeding. What's that bleating I hear in my ears? He said, oh, well, we did save some of them. We're going to use them for a sacrifice. We're going to sacrifice. He said, and you got the king? You kept the king? Of all people to kill, you would have wanted to kill the king. And so he gets on to Saul, and he actually right then, he rejects Saul from being king.
Yep. That
quick. Saul has one chance, he blew it, and right then Samuel rejected him as being king. And it says Samuel was getting ready to leave, and he stopped. He turned around, and this is what he said. 1 Samuel 15:32. Then said Samuel, bring ye hither to me Agag, king of the Amalekites. And Agag came unto him delicately. And Agag said, surely the bitterness of death is past. When Agag said, oh, Samuel, the prophet, the good prophet, wants to see me? Oh, I'm good. Surely I'm going to be saved now. The prophet, he's not going to do nothing. I'm good. And Samuel said, as the sword hath made women childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before the Lord in Gilgal. Wow. Even the prophet of God was like, he cut this guy to pieces with a sword. He's like, God said he wanted all these people dead. I'm not leaving until the job is done. If I got to do it myself, I'm going to do it myself.
Yep.
You can't be trusted? I'll do it. And Samuel, the prophet, the guy that anointed, that God chose to anoint Saul king and David king. This guy, he hacked this guy to pieces with a sword. Man, it was a tough life back then. I'm telling you, it was tough. Well, I guess we better go. I'm glad y'all, hope y'all got something. Thank y'all for coming.
Once again, that was great. That was, man, but they're brutal.
They were brutal.
I mean,
brutal
heartless.
life, man. It was brutal life.
But you know, when you're talking about the taxes,